Well, folks, in today's video, we're going to be unboxing something kind of unusual. Inside this box is a brass Class C Interurban locomotive I found on eBay. I was browsing eBay a couple months ago, and I just randomly stumbled across this thing, and the moment I saw it, I knew I wanted to buy it, so I just outbid everybody, and I ended up winning the auction. So today we're going to be opening it up, testing it out, and doing any necessary repairs if it's required. So let's see what we got here. And here it is. Just look at this thing. It says right here, ran okay, needs to be cleaned. Now, I certainly do not know a whole lot about this locomotive. I suspect that it was made from a Tenshodo kit. You can see on the bottom here it was made in Japan. The wire kind of covers it, but either way, you can tell that a lot of effort was definitely put into building this thing. The paintwork is decent, but the assembly itself looks to be pretty good. There are little signs of wear and tear here and there, but as far as I'm concerned, that's just character. I kind of like to see that sort of stuff. It means that it actually got some use at some point. And it looks to have a pretty unique drive system. You can see there are actually not one, but two bands on each drive, and those connect to some sort of motor in here. So I'm really curious to see how the operating condition of this thing is going to be. So we'll take it over to the track. But before we do that, I mentioned a couple months ago that I was going to be doing a giveaway of some various locomotives that I picked up on Facebook Marketplace. So why don't we go ahead and do that first. So here's what's up for grabs. We've got 8 different powered locomotives and 2 different dummy engines. Almost all the powered locomotives work, and for all the ones which don't, I'll try to fix them up to the best of my abilities before shipping them out. Anyways, I've gone ahead and set up the YouTube random comment picker. And this is usually my go-to for these sorts of things. We'll filter out duplicate users, and then it always asks a math question, I think just to filter out bots. Anyways, we'll load in the comments here, and we appear to have 485 different comments. That's pretty good. Now let's figure out of those who the winner is. Seeing a bunch of familiar names. And Robert Hardened, I really hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Anyways, it says, hey SMT, big fan. I always try to watch all of your videos. I always learn a lot from you taking apart locomotives and putting them back together. I have an HO layout and I don't really have any trains or things. Well, congratulations. It looks like it's going to be your lucky day. You'll start off with 8 locomotives, and I'll look around. I might have some spare track and a controller to send you to and maybe get you started off in the hobby. So yeah, congratulations. So let's see if this little number will start. I'm really excited to see how this thing runs. The seller did claim that it is in fact a runner, so hopefully they were honest about that. It looks to be in pretty good shape, but you know, there have been times in the past where something's looked okay and then you get it on the track and it runs like junk, so I'm not entirely sure really what to expect here. All right, well, that's all looking good. Let's give it some power. Oh no. Shorted. Let's try getting it set up the other way here. Something's really off with this thing. That is not a good runner. I mean, I heard the motor turn over a couple times, but like it's shorted so badly. So those results were not very good. I kind of think maybe I got scammed with this thing. Again, the seller claimed that it ran okay and it just needed to be cleaned, and I tried to run it in 2 different directions with the wheels all laid out perfectly on the track, and it was nothing but short circuits. I maybe got the motor to turn over like once or twice, but not what I thought I was getting myself into. I'm not going to bother trying to return this thing or give the seller negative feedback because I still wanted this thing and I did realize I was buying a project. So I figured we should just crack it open and try to remedy it. Maybe that seems kind of insane to some people, but let's see what we can do. I don't think it's hopeless. We know that the motor is at least in somewhat working condition, so that's a start right there. So it's kind of hard to see, but you got a screw here, a screw here, and it's the same thing on the other side. So I guess we'll just try to remove those screws and hopefully the chassis will drop out. All right, and here we are inside. And, well, right off the bat, we've got a potential source of problem. We've got a wire which doesn't go anywhere, so that's not so good. This wire looks okay. It's connected there, so I wonder what this was going to. Given the shape of it, it kind of looks like it was headed down here somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure where that would be. What I'm sort of wondering here is maybe the seller was honest and this wire just broke during transit. So hopefully if we connect this wire up to one of the leads here and connect the other one up to the frame, see some running here. Seems fine. So maybe that wire was the issue all along. If that's the case, that's pretty good news, because that means that, you know, we're not going to have to go looking through this entire thing for a short circuit. Still leaves a bit of a question in my head, which is where did the wire go originally? Gotta wonder if maybe this wire fed down here and connected to the opposite truck. That would kind of make sense, wouldn't it? Yeah, you can tell this was where it went. You can see two wipers right here and the original soldering joint there. Not amazing stuff, so we'll see if we can redo that and strip out this wire. And if we're lucky, maybe that will just fix up whatever the problem was. We'll see if that made any difference. I really hope that that's the only problem with this thing. I mean, at least we know the motor works. But, oh, it's trying. Still shorted. Wow. All right, there's clearly still something wrong with this. So I've been looking over this thing, and I think I might have found the source of the problem. If you saw earlier when we worked on the wires, the wheels pick up power on this side through these two wires, which means that the wheels over here and here should be picking up power on the opposite side. Possibly these as well, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, we can see that these are isolated as they should be on the same side as the wire. These ones, however, are not, so I'm thinking that this truck might have rolled over. So we'll try loosening that screw and we'll see if we can get it to kind of just rotate here. There is a little retainer which is supposed to prevent this from happening, but it might have failed. You can tell this was the way it went originally too, because there was probably a plow, just like there is on the front, which broke off. You can kind of see the remnants of that. But anyways, let's see if that fixed it up. I think that that is probably the source of the problem. Oh, here we go, 2 times the charm. Let's see if that made any difference. Oh, yeah, there we go. Very good. Seems to be running okay. We're a little low on the traction side, but that might be because it's missing the weight, which is the shell. So hopefully when we add that back on, it will fix that issue. But yeah, otherwise it actually seems to be running pretty well. So now that we've actually got this thing running, I think we can add some oil to all the bearings, which are clearly in desperate need of it, as well as to clean up the wheels. I'm frankly surprised it was able to run as well as it was, just because if you look at these, they're pretty dirty, and they're also a little bit scorched from all the short circuits, so it could, you know, certainly use a little bit of work, and could also use a little bit of cleaning, as you can see. So we'll start off here by just throwing a little bit of oil on the motor. Well, I got all of that out of there, so that's good. I'm going to throw some grease on this because these are all metal parts and I don't want these things stripping out. They do have a little bit of wear on them already, so you really want to make sure you're using like a thick lubricant. So I'll throw a very generous amount of grease on there, as well as some oil. I'll clean all of the wheels, but really the only ones that need to be cleaned on this truck are the two outside ones here. Possibly all of them need to be cleaned on these two sets, but I'm not totally sure. All right, well, I got all those looking probably the best they have in the last 20 years. Anyways, let's take this thing over to the track and see how it runs now with that fresh oil and those nice shiny wheels. So it should have made a pretty big difference performance-wise, so we'll see how it runs now. Back to being shorted again. This is very mystifying. The truck is still on the correct side, so I have no idea what's going on with this thing. This has got to be one of the more mystifying locomotives I worked on. I mean, you saw earlier it was running just fine, and now it seems to have developed a problem, although this time it doesn't seem to be the same issue. So I don't know if one of these wires maybe came undone or what the case is, but it's kind of weird that a problem would just kind of arise like that. You know, something I'm noticing is that there's a little bit more of a gap on this side than there is on this one, because you see this is isolated right here, but it could be making contact with the side of the truck here, which is all metal. So I'm kind of wondering if something is maybe a little bit wrong with this truck. Well, something's definitely wrong with this truck and it's coming apart. Yeah, there's no isolator there. Yeah, it's hard to see, but there's a tiny isolator on both these, so I wonder if maybe this has come apart before, and maybe that's why it was on the wrong way, and maybe why the isolators are gone on this side. That's not so great. All right, so I got that all cleaned up because those were looking a little worse than I expected, and I went and found a couple of O-rings which I think are gonna work. They're mismatched, but it's really all I have of the right size. I got this larger one, which maybe we could try to use, but I think we'll start with the smaller one here. It's frankly remarkable this thing was able to go at all. I'm not entirely sure that that's going to work, but well, let's just roll with it. And I got one of them backwards. That's nice. All right, well, managed to get that all back together on the correct side, so why don't we take this over to the track and see if that fixed the problem. Oh, yeah, that's more like it. Oh, that's way better. You know something, this thing's actually got a fair bit of get up and go. I mean, that's half throttle right there, and seems to be running pretty well. Yeah, not bad at all. Let's go clean this thing up and throw the shell on. All right, let's take this thing over to the track. Well, moment of truth here. I'd imagine with those weights, this thing would run a little bit better because there was definitely some wheel slippage going on earlier. Moment of truth. Yeah, it looks like we have got a runner here, folks. Look at her go. What a fantastic little Interurban. Well, folks, I think that that's going to be about it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. I am certainly happy with the results. This thing was a little bit more of a challenge than I was expecting. I really thought this was going to run to some extent right out of the box, and it really didn't. I have no idea how the seller managed to get this thing to run in their supposed test, but either way, we managed to fix it up and turn it around, and I'm very happy with the results. So hope you all enjoyed as well. With that, I just want to thank you all so much for watching.